Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot, oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girlz. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here are your supernatural hosts, Patricia Baker and Becky Andreasson. Supernatural Girlz.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girlz. I am your host, Patricia Baker, and I am here with my co-host, Becky Andreasson. Becky, how are you tonight?
Fine. How are you, Patricia?
I'm great, except we have an echo.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to ask you to please hang up
Yes.
and call back in, and we'll see if we can get rid of it.
Okay.
I'm just going to keep chatting away with everybody while we try to get that straightened out.
Okay, I'll be right back.
All righty. So, everybody, this is such an exciting time. My goodness, we're going to be seeing spring, I hope, in a few days up here in New England. It's been so bitter cold, terribly cold temperatures, even for us. And even though it was the first day of spring, a couple days ago, it sure doesn't feel like that. Not yet. So I hear we're going to get a few more days of freezing cold this week, and then we are going to have temperatures up in the 50s, which for us is a massive, massive heat wave. So I cannot wait to see those temperatures. So, Becky, let's see. How are we doing now?
Well, hello. Check 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you sound good, and I don't hear any echo, so I think we're doing okay.
My gosh. I know. I'm telling you.
You've had a very busy day, but I'm so glad you're on the air with me tonight.
Yes. I know. I just got in probably about 2 hours ago, and I was running around and getting everything done and getting ready, and here I am, thankful to be here and happy to be here with you, Patricia.
Oh, this is great. We have a wonderful guest, too, Jen McConnel. We're going to bring her on in just a couple of minutes. She's got a terrific book. I had so much fun reading this thing. God and Spells for Busy Girls. I mean, it was great fun to read it, and it had real information, too. So we will have Jen on very shortly. But, you know, the news lately, the paranormal news, it's just nonstop. Paranormal has exploded, and it seems like everybody's posting one story or another about ghosts or UFOs or strange creatures that are being spotted. So I don't know what's going on. Either the interest level has just gone through the roof or the veil is so thin that these things are coming through more than ever.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, and also I think springtime's coming, and everything comes out in spring.
This is true. This is true. So we should be seeing some very, very interesting things here at the castle, and I know we've got some photographs eventually we'll be sharing with everybody.
I know. Oh boy, that castle is really. I mean, you might as well say party time.
Yeah, I know. With all the portals and the doorways to the other dimensions, these things just walk in and out like it's Old Home Week or something. I don't know. So it's going to, I think you're right. Now that the weather's warming up, it's just going to get busier.
Yeah, well, you figure everybody's, psyche even lifts higher. And I think that's why, too, they're actually catching and seeing things more, and that's connected to the other realm, and so they're feeling that energy, and they're like, oh, yeah, and they're showing up a lot more. I think a lot of that has to do with our seasons, too, because I personally see a lot more in the spring and the fall, actually.
Now, do you get more orb pictures? Because you are the queen of orb pictures. So
yes.
Do you get more of those in the spring?
In the spring, yes, and then in the late fall, toward late fall or mid-fall. Yeah, it seems like it just, it just crashes, boom, bang, and everything. It's just everything's out there. It's crazy, wild. And I notice it really all through the years, spring and fall. I'm telling you, it's very strange.
Well, that's good. I'm looking forward to these warmer spring temperatures that I hope will be happening later this week, as predicted. And I wanted to share with everybody, and you especially, Becky, this is very cool information. I was looking around at different websites, and I came across a post that somebody put up on Above Top Secret, which is about a new way to look at and analyze old video material. And what happens, it's very cool. It's called Eulerian Video Magnification Technology. Now, you've seen this video. I know you have, but it's called An Interview with an Alien. And it's been under a lot of scrutiny. People are saying it's fake. Some people are saying, no, it's the real thing. The military whistleblowers that you and I know and have had on the show say it is the real thing. But now, with this new technology, what they're saying is they're able to detect and identify variations in color intensity. They can pick up a pulse, signs of facial motions that they couldn't pick up before with this older video. So they can now determine, is this a real being? Is this a live being, or is this some kind of a puppet? And they've determined isn't that great?
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, so they've determined that this particular video, this is a real being.
Wow. Well, can you imagine? I've got to pull out all mine that I've got.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, because you've got all kinds of stuff that you could apply this technology to. And I guess there's a link right on the Internet, and you can access it and put it into different videos that you want to examine yourself. But it's this alien interview I found very intriguing. Always wondered, because it's so hard to tell sometimes if it's the real deal or somebody made it up or whatever. But this looks like, according to this technology anyways, this is not a lifeless object on this video. It's not a puppet. It is a real, alive being. So excellent. Yeah, I think this is great. This is the stuff we've been waiting for. Our technology is catching up with us. So, yes. That's
right. And that, it really helps. So these little debunkers out there can't be shooting us with arrows and things, when the technology is there, and say, yeah, well, you can't shoot this one down,
That's right. So,
nah.
There
you go. Tell them, girl.
That's right.
Yes.
So
I like that.
Yes, I thought you would. That's why I picked it.
Yes, thank you so much. That's exciting. I'm all excited about this now. I'm going to have to download it.
I know. Well, wait till you see it, because I know you'll recognize the video once you see it, and it is very, very exciting to watch this all unfold the way it is, because we're never going to get disclosure from the government. Their hand is going to have to be forced, so they won't tell us anything. It'll continue on. As Cliff Stone has shared with us, and Robert Salas, these are former military people, that the disinformation campaign is still in full swing. So I don't see any signs of that changing, but when technology backs up what we're seeing and says, no, this isn't a fake, it's all helpful. It does point to the facts of the case here. So anyways, we are going to be talking about how to do these magic spells. I read through all of these. I was looking for all kinds of magic spells to try today. And our guest is Jen McConnel, and she was born and raised in Michigan. She is a writer. She's a published poet and a writing instructor also. And she is a devotee of Isis, but works closely with a number of goddesses. And she now lives in North Carolina with her husband and their cats. And she is the author of this terrific book, and we're going to find all about how to do spells. So, Jen McConnel, welcome to Supernatural Girls.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Well, your book was tremendous. Now, you got to tell us, how did you get into this?
I think I was into goddess magic and goddesses before I knew what to call it. I've always always been drawn to the divine feminine. And when I was growing up, my mom was in the Eastern Star. And some of my earliest memories are helping her get ready for ritual and learning about the women that Eastern Star speaks of, the 5 biblical heroines. And then it just kind of grew from there, this fascination with the face of the goddess before I even knew that's what I was calling her.
So this is really in your family.
You know, to an extent, yeah. There's a lot of strong women in my family too, so I think it just made sense to see goddesses everywhere.
Oh, that's good.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you do these spells yourself, and you were saying that in your book that you actually did one, not even expecting it to work, but it did work.
Yeah, that was kind of my my magic crash course, if you will. I didn't really believe I could do magic for a very long time, even though I believed that magic was everywhere. And then I did an herbal spell with the intention of traveling to Egypt. And exactly a month after I did the spell, I won a travel voucher in a raffle, and my husband and I were able to make that trip.
Wow. So that proved it to you.
That really was the turning point for me in my own practice. That kind of opened my eyes to the possibilities of magic.
Now, do you recommend that people learn how to do this type of spell casting for just themselves, or is this something you can actually do for other people? You can actually cast goddess spells for friends and relatives.
There are a few spells in the book. There's one in particular for blessing a marriage that can easily be done as a gift. I tend to practice for myself, but I will practice for others if they've asked me to for them, or if I have asked them and they're amenable to that.
That's great. And then you also talk about you can practice in groups. You don't have to practice by yourself. You certainly can, but you can also get groups of people together and do this together.
Absolutely. Goddess magic is so flexible.
That's so nice. I like that.
And why have you chose your goddess? Is there a reason for a special goddess to choose?
Well, and so for me personally, you know, Isis is my goddess. She's my girl, and you mentioned that at the beginning of the show. That was just a personal connection, a lifelong fascination with Egypt and with Isis mythology. But I work with a number of other goddesses, and you can really work with anybody you want to. I highly recommend you understand a little bit of the story behind the goddess, because goddess magic is very rooted in goddess myth. And you kind of want to approach it, you know, with the eye to what the question is. If it's a love issue, you definitely don't want to ask Athena. And you just sort of balance it out based on what you know of the goddesses and how they work. And there really is a goddess for every situation.
And why wouldn't you ask Athena about a love spell?
Well, she was very much the literal virgin goddess. She didn't really have time for men or love, but she's very good for clear thinking, making hard decisions. She's also very protective. So it's just a matter of knowing the goddess's strengths and weaknesses and knowing what you need at that time to ask the right question.
Now, in your book, just so everybody listening knows, this is a great book. There's a lot of good, workable information in here. For example, for Athena, you're welcome. You did a great job. You've got the colors of Athena, white, gray, and blue, the animals, which are an owl and a snake, and then the culture of origin, which is pre-Greek, Hellenistic. So there's a lot of information here. So you could even, if you wanted to go in depth, you could from this point. But certainly there's enough here to get started. What I also really like about your spells is they're simple. They're very easy.
Yes, I thank you. I think that was part of what scared me away from magic for so long, was I thought it had to be really ceremonial and really intense and use all kinds of essential oils that are expensive and hard to find. And it doesn't have to be that way. It can be, but simple magic for me has been even more powerful in my life. And so I really wanted to share that with my readers.
Yeah, because this way you don't have to do all of the machinations that you would do with ritual magic, which are quite extensive. And we've had people on the show that have talked about this, and it's a big deal. I mean, between the baths you have to take and the ceremonial robes you have to put on and casting the circle and writing symbols, and it just, really, it seemed like it was too much for me.
It is expensive. The nice thing I found, though, with working with goddess magic is it can be as simple or as complex as your practice wants it to be. You can work these spells within an elaborate ritual circle, or you can work these spells in the morning when you get up. It can be as easy or as difficult as you want to make it.
That's nice. You've got a lot of flexibility, like you said. And then you have a lot of goddesses to choose from. So, like, for example, you talk about Athena and that she's good for clear thinking. You know, a lot of these things that you write about, it's about intent. It's about how do you want to be in the world. More so that than what do you want to have in the world. But let's say somebody wants more money. What would they use for that? What goddess would they call upon, and what kind of spell would they recite?
There are a couple of spells in the book that you can look to if money is a concern. One of my favorites is in the Lakshmi chapter. And Lakshmi is a Hindu goddess. She's luck, laughter, beauty, love, all good things, all kinds of abundance. And I have a prosperity spell using Lakshmi. She likes shiny things. She likes beautiful things. And so it's a really simple spell. It's just taking a silver coin and a scrap of silk, blessing the coin, asking Lakshmi to watch over you and offer you abundance, wrapping it in the silk and then keeping it in your wallet or your pocket. And hopefully it will draw abundance to you.
No, that's super simple. I mean,
it is. Anybody can do it.
Right. Now, does the silk have to be a particular color?
Pink would be best. That's definitely one of the colors she resonates most with. But I've really found, too, with magic, again, it is so flexible. If you feel like blue would be more appropriate or green is the traditional color for drawing money, you can experiment and see what works better for you. But Lakshmi does like pink.
All right. Now, if somebody does this spell, and now is it something that has to be repeated, or you do it once and forget about it?
You can repeat it if you want to. I also recommend in the book, with this spell in particular, if you feel like it needs a little bit of a boost, you can take the charm out, unwrap it, put it in a window on the night of the full moon, and get a little bit of the lunar energy infused into the charm, rebind the charm, and then put it back in your wallet. So it can be done once and left. It can be repeated. I would repeat it on the lunar cycle, or really kind of as needed, as you see fit.
See, one of the things that I've learned with intent through the years is that it's good to state your intent or do your magic spell and then just let it be. Forget about it. Don't obsess about it. Don't take the energy back from it. Just let it do its thing. Is that the same that you do with goddess magic?
You know, for the most part, yeah. There are some spells, if it's a continuation, if it's something, you know, a long-term problem or an issue that isn't as resolved as I'd like it to be, that I may repeat the spell. But for the most part, I let it go. It does its thing, and I trust that the magic will fulfill what I've asked for.
So now we're into your realm, Becky, of faith.
Yes. And you take magic now, and you speak about magic, and you use items with the magic. Now, I know there's herbs and things that, you know, they have meanings. I mean, that's what they were put on the good old earth for. I understand that. And then there's other trinkets or things that you can use. But what about faith within magic? You know, believing that something will happen or will come true, or you can connect with, you know, a goddess or, you know, whoever when they're doing their magic. Where does that come in, and how strong would that have to be in a person?
I think faith and intention are the two most vital components of any kind of magic. You have to believe in what you're doing, and you have to know what you want to get out of it. And I think then you'll see varying degrees. You know, as I in my own practice, before I really believed that I had the faith in myself and the faith in goddesses and the faith in the magic, I would do things and maybe I'd see a little bit of a boost, but it was nothing like when I kind of committed to it and embraced it and really opened my mind up to feel that level of belief in magic. I'd always wanted to, and then one day I finally did. I think it makes a difference. But you can do these spells with even no faith that they will work. You can do them just for fun. Maybe it'll make you smile, and that's a wonderful thing. But I do think faith and intent are deeply linked to magical results.
Yes, I think so too. Yeah, and then your items. Is there any certain items that are staples that you think at least you should have one or two or three things?
I do a lot of candle magic within the different goddesses I work with. So one of the staples that I have are tiny little spell candles. They're the little 4-inch tall tapers, and they burn in about 2 hours if you leave them lit. So I always have those on hand in a variety of colors. Cinnamon enhances all magic, and it's good for certain goddesses in particular, so I always like to have cinnamon on hand.
I love cinnamon.
Yes, see, that's why.
Yes, I'm telling you, they call me Cinnamon Girl. I love cinnamon.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, with the cinnamon, Jen, do you use that? You put in, do you dab some of the cinnamon oil on the candle, or how do you use it?
So I'll put cinnamon oil on a candle. If I'm burning a fire, I'll throw cinnamon on the fire. If I'm taking a bath, cinnamon might make its way into the blend. It kind of comes into a lot of the spell work I do, and it tends to give everything a little bit of an extra kick.
So cinnamon is a must. Candles.
Cinnamon candles are a must, and otherwise, there's a lot of things I like to use, but I really think it just is, you gotta want to do it. So the intention is a must too.
I see. So someone could put something of their own in there along with the cinnamon in the candle and, go through what they're looking for and ask of a goddess this or that. See, what I'm saying is, can they use some of their own personal things, or is it like, when I was reading through, I seen the different little pieces that you used. Is it absolute to know what a goddess likes, or can we use something of our own personal piece to use within a spell?
I think, oh no, that's a great question. I think for me at least, goddess magic stems from knowing the goddesses, knowing the stories, knowing the symbols. But I trust my intuition so much when I'm working magic, and I think everybody can. And if, even if the book says use a yellow candle, but you feel like, man, maybe this really needs to be a white candle, trust your gut. You know what you need. So you can absolutely personalize your work in any way you need to.
Yes, I see. That's good.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed in your book also, Jen, that you mentioned letting the candle burn all the way out. Don't put the candle out. Let it go. Let it burn itself out. What's the reason for that?
And that comes again from very much my own practice. I've found that the spells are stronger, as you said earlier, when you just kind of leave them alone. And letting the candle burn itself out is a very literal representation of just leaving it alone. The intentions are sending up in the flame and in the smoke, and when the candle is spent, it's been heard, and it has been set in motion. There are times that I will snuff a candle, especially if it's a larger candle or a longer-term spell, maybe something you're doing every night for a week. But for the most part, that's why I like the small spell candles, because I can just let them go, and when it's done, I know the work is
done. I like that.
Now, yeah. Another question I always wondered, I've heard it's not good luck to blow out a candle. You should snuff it out. Is that right? Or
I've heard that too, and I don't know. I blow them out sometimes, but yeah, I've heard the same thing. And most of the time, if I'm doing, if I'm just lighting candles around my house, I blow them out. That doesn't matter. But if I'm doing spell work, I'll extinguish it I'll lick my fingers and quench the flame that way, or I'll use a snuffer, or I'll let it burn itself out.
Okay. Yeah, well, you answered my question. I always wanted to know about that.
Yeah, I heard something like it lets other spirits in or something like that, the smoke that comes from the flames you blow out.
Okay, yeah, I had never heard the reason, but I had heard the idea, and I just kind of have used that as well, but no, I hadn't known the motivation behind it.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, it is. In days of old, too, they had the old big snuffers, and they always put them out that way. So I always wondered, what did they know that we did not know?
They probably just didn't want to breathe in all that smoke, so.
That's true.
Yeah, that's another thing, smoke. Gee, I am hearing so much about smoke being so important in this realm of magic, or this realm of otherworldly things with spirits and beings and that. I mean, I've heard now the smoke and the fire from the candle, now even a smoke or a fire from a cigarette, and then the smoke and the fire from sage. What is this? Do you understand, or could you give a clearer information on smoke and the fire dealing with magic?
I think it depends on the kind of smoke. You mentioned sage, and that's a purifying smoke. The vapor cleanses and protects and does all of that. And candle smoke, especially if it's a spell candle, the smoke goes up to the deities, to the heavens, and carries your intention. And incense smoke is often, the way I use incense smoke is really more just as a gift for the goddesses, because they like smelly, pretty things, and some goddesses in particular have special smells, and so I just kind of use that as a thank you. I think it's very smoke specific, I guess.
Yeah, I'm learning that. Yeah, because we just found out last week, was it, that cigarette smoke scares away evil spirits.
Yeah, the
tobacco. They don't like to be around it. Yeah, tobacco smoke. Tobacco. Yeah. And I know they use that in the Indian legends and magic. So that was verified. So there's another smoke. So I've got about 4 or 5 different smokes now that I'm learning about, and it's very interesting. Fire and smoke.
I wonder if it's just that smoke makes that connection from earth to heaven. That it is kind of an in-between.
Yeah, ethereal. Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds very, very right. Now, when you sit down to do some spell casting, and let's say you work with Lakshmi and you want to do a prosperity spell, you obviously have the ritual that you go through, but do you also feel when you're doing this ritual that you're actually connected to her? Do you feel a different vibration or sensation when you're doing the spell? Because all these goddesses, I would imagine, have their own vibration, their own personalities that you could sense.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned Lakshmi as an example, because she's a goddess I really enjoy working with, because her vibration is just, it's pure abundance and pure joy. And she's just so much fun to work with, even just in a meditative state. I'm a yoga teacher as well, and we use a lot of mantra and chanting and meditation and different things. And one of my favorite mantras is a Lakshmi mantra, and you just kind of say it over and over again, and you can feel the goddess just kind of pulling in and smiling at you. So I absolutely feel their different personalities when I work with them.
That's great. So when I was tuning into Lakshmi earlier as I was reading your book, one of the things I was sensing was the lightness of her being. Nothing is taken seriously, and kind of raising our vibration up that high so that we don't make mountains out of molehills and things like that, but we are able to take things much more lightly in her presence. Does that sound about right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so glad that's the experience you had with her. Another thing I've learned from working with Lakshmi is that abundance comes in a lot of different forms, and she's not just about material prosperity. She is really anything you could think to define as abundance are the kind of things she loves. She loves sweet food, she loves joy and music and dancing, and it kind of reshapes what you're asking for when you work with a goddess like that.
Well, that's great, because even when you did your initial spell, and you were really asking for money, weren't you, so that you could go do the Egyptian trip, but then it came in the form of winning these travel vouchers.
Well, when I did that spell, I wasn't asking for money directly. I was just asking for some way to make the trip happen, and I didn't.
Oh.
And I think that's important, too, is sometimes you need to give the goddesses room to tell you what they think is best. So I've learned that the spells sometimes shouldn't be that specific, asking for prosperity or abundance rather than money or, a new job, and let the goddesses help you see what that abundance is supposed to look like.
So keep it more abstract.
Yeah, I think that definitely has helped me quite a bit. You can be very specific, too, but I found that with the more specific spells, you might get more disappointed because you might get it and it might not be what you actually needed.
Be careful what you ask for, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
But have you ever seen a spell go bad? I mean, when somebody asks for something and it just goes into some form of chaos or something they really didn't want?
I have, and I think that's in my own life and in other friends' experiences as well. I've seen some spells backfire in ways that are very unexpected, and you think you've covered all your bases, and you haven't, and you end up with a mess on your hands.
Tell us. Give us details, Jen.
Yes.
What happened?
Story. Don't need names.
Yeah, we don't need to know who, but we need to know what happened.
Oh, well, I know someone who did a spell very specifically for money, and the day after she worked the spell, she was in a pretty bad car accident, and she was fine, but her car was totaled, so she got an influx of money that then all turned around and went to the bank to pay off the car loan.
Oh,
that's
so
not
it was
good.
No, it wasn't good. It was a pretty traumatic experience. So I think definitely it's good to know what you want, but you also want to give the universe room to give you what you need.
So
I like that.
it's like don't narrow it down so much. But if you want abundance or you want to feel financial freedom, those would be some of the more abstract ways of stating it when you're speaking with a
rather
goddess.
than specifically saying, I want money or this much or this specific thing. And the same with love magic. If I want this specific person, no. Just I want to open myself up to love, to joy, to these wonderful feelings, and see where they take me.
Right. So this is not the kind of magic that you would recommend that anybody do as a love spell on someone else. So if you're obsessed with somebody, don't even think about doing this kind of magic with it.
Absolutely not. I mean, everybody has to make their own choices in their path and in their magical practice. But for me, I will not work on the will of another person, and that's just something that because I don't want my will worked on. So
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that would be a good thing to do anyway,
no,
right? I mean, really,
either.
it wouldn't. Yeah.
I think with good love magic, it needs to be about you, rather than even if there is a specific person in mind. You need to really be open and ready and embracing yourself before you can embrace that other person. So good love magic, I feel like, always starts with the individual.
I agree, and it sounds like this is the kind of magic you could use to open your own heart, to be open to accepting more love in your life, things like that.
And whatever form that love may take.
Right. So it's not person-specific. It's just you as a person, not the other.
Right.
So,
yeah, absolutely. And all the spells in this book are very individual-centric. I mean, you can work in a group, and there are some spells that work great in community, but so much of the magic just in general in the world really comes back to the practitioner. And, you need to be making yourself the best self you can be, and you can use magic to do that.
Mm-hmm. This is interesting because we've had Lon Duquette on the show who's talked about the rituals that he has done throughout his life with magic and with the OTO, and he says the same thing. You know, magic is supposed to transform you. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
So,
and then once you're transformed, you transform others, and you may not even know it.
That's nice.
That's the sparkle that reaches out.
And that's the way we change everything, is by changing ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, I do have to ask you, because you referenced in your book a magical hangover, that when you did group work, you had a magical hangover. But just hold that thought, because we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come right back. And everybody listening, if you have a question for Jen about goddesses and spells, then call in at 646-478-0828. And stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Bonjour, this is Veronique Raskin, founder of the Organic Wine Company. As one of the pioneers of the organic wine movement, since 1980 I have brought you the very best and most authentic organic wines directly to your table. I work with small family estates who grow certified organic grapes and produce exceptional wines. You can purchase our wines individually from our website at theorganicwinecompany.com or join one of our wine clubs. Our organic wines are perfect for you and for your family as gifts for friends and relatives, and they are simply spectacular for the holidays. Visit us at theorganicwinecompany.com to enjoy the very best organic wines conveniently delivered to your door. I am Veronique Raskin, passionate about my mission. I offer to you vegan, organic, and biodynamic wines, wines made by people of the heart, wines with a heart. Au revoir. Call us at 1-888-ECO-WINE.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy Attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Are you ready for a new experience of freedom and powerful connection? Would you like a positive, effortless change in your life? Then come to CosmicFusion.com, where we offer the most advanced energy clearing and expansion techniques in the world, with a quantum vortex energy to activate your divine blueprint and life's purpose. When your soul leads the way with cosmic fusion and quantum vortex energy, you can break clear of past difficulties and blocks with the power of the source. With Cosmic Fusion, the source energy does the work for you. It's easy and effortless. Listen to our free meditation right from our Cosmic Fusion website, the Cosmic Code Meditation. Sign up for one of our interactive webinars today. Come to Cosmic Fusion, www.KOSMICfusion.com, to experience an effortless awakening and transformation. Are you ready for an upgrade? Are you ready for a new experience of living in the fifth dimensional magic and powerful connection? Then visit CosmicFusion.com today. CosmicFusion.com.
back, everybody. We are having a wonderful discussion here with author Jen McConnel, and she has written a terrific book called Goddess Spells for Busy Girls. It's available on Amazon.com. And, Jen, you also have a website, yes?
I do. It's pretty easy. It's my name. It's Jen McConnel, just one L.com.
And one N, right? Is your name Jen?
No. Oh, yeah. One N in the Jen. Well, I'll spell it. JenMcConnell.com.
That's great. Now, do you have a mailing list, an email list that people can get on? Because I know that you are a great writer. You're going to be having more books coming out, so I'm sure people will want to be notified.
Yeah, there's a link to my newsletter on the website and where to find me on social media and all that good stuff. So just JenMcConnell.com, and you can find out more.
Terrific. Now, I just want to try all these spells. It's so much fun, and like I said, they're so simple. I'm so intrigued by the simplicity of all of this. But a lot of the people that listen to our show, they have certain spiritual goals and certain psychic goals, and a lot of them want to become more tuned in, more psychic, more intuitive, have kind of a bigger avenue to reach the other side or other entities. Now, is there a particular goddess you would recommend for that and a particular spell?
Oh, absolutely. Hecate is the first one who comes to mind for me in terms of working a little deeper with the other realms. And
tell us more about, because she's got quite a backstory, doesn't she?
Yeah, Hecate is a hard goddess to pin down. She's probably pre-Greek. We're not entirely sure. Maybe Anatolia. She kind of just is very liminal, which is great because she's the goddess of the crossroads. So Hecate has... Yeah, she has the psychopomp element of traveling between this world and the underworld, and she also has, the guide element. She can help with choices, and she sees three ways. Standing at the crossroads, she can see, past, present, and future. So she's a wonderful goddess to work with for lifting the veil.
Great. Now, is there a spell in your book that addresses that?
There is. One of the spells in the Hecate chapter is a spell for intuition, and it's just kind of helping you begin to open up and trust your intuition. So it's even a good spell for people who are used to working with divination, just to kind of get your feet back on the right path and reset. It relies on either a tarot deck or a set of runes, whichever is more comfortable to you. And then otherwise, you just need a candle, matches, and something to write with, and you use the divination tool, the tarot deck or the runes, to work with Hecate to begin to make strides and open your eyes a little bit.
Okay. Now, walk us through the spell. What do you do? Because I know people are going to want to know the answer to this one.
Okay. Do you mind if I read it, or is that going to be
go right ahead.
Okay. So you need a tarot deck of runes, a purple candle, matches, and a notebook and something to write with. Set your divination tool on the floor, sit comfortably in front of it, light the purple candle, and say, Hecate, I wish to learn the art of seeing with my heart. And then begin to play with the cards or runes. Shuffle them, jangle them, spread them out, mix them up. Do whatever you want. At random, pull a card or rune. Set it in front of the candle where you can see it clearly. Now, taking your pen and your notebook down everything you think of. Draw the rune or the card, describe it, what do you see? So working first with your visual senses. Now write down any emotions you have as you study the card or the rune. What do you feel? Does it remind you of anything? And you can work through this process with as many cards or runes as you like, just working to deepen your sight, taking that first step to see with your eyes and then seeing with your heart. And when you're exhausted, pack everything up with care. Remember, these are your tools. Treat them well. But before you snuff out the candle with your fingertips, say, I may not be there yet, but I've begun. And this is a spell you can repeat anytime you want. It's a really great way to get to know a new divination tool or to reconnect with an old tool. And again, it can be repeated nightly, weekly. You can go back then to your notebook and refer back later as you've deepened your understanding of the tools and the cards. But it's definitely an instinctive spell and a place where you just kind of want to be able to let Hecate guide you through it.
Wow. Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I really like that one. And somebody
Thank you.
wrote in the chat room, and they wanted to know how to spell this goddess's name.
Hecate.
And now she's also the goddess of the underworld, right?
Sometimes.
Sometimes she is.
Well, and that's the thing. We're not entirely sure where she originated, so she has a lot of different myths to her. But in the Greek stories, which are some of the ones where she's most familiar, she is one of the only deities who can come and go to the underworld. She escorts Persephone on her journey every year. And she and Hermes are the only two deities who can make that transition between underworld and upperworld.
So there's only two.
Well, for the Greeks. There's plenty for others.
Okay. I see. That's good to know. And these are for, you have on your title for busy girls, you know. How about guys? Guys can do this too, right?
Absolutely. Guys can totally connect with goddess magic. They can work with any of the spells in the book. I wrote the book specifically for young women of my generation a little bit younger, as a hope that it would give them kind of an easy tool not only for self-empowerment, but to rediscover the divine feminine, because this is something that I feel like the younger generation hasn't found as much yet, and I want them to, and I'm so thankful it's been a part of my life. So this, even though the book was targeted for girls, guys can absolutely work goddess magic. The book might not always connect with them, but they could totally find valuable information in it.
There they go. There you go, guys. See, you can
we're not
do
leaving
it
you
too.
out here.
No.
But, you know, you bring
That's
up an interesting point, too, Jen, with Becky's great question here about can boys use this, men use this. But, again, the younger generation, it does seem like they're missing out on a lot of these things, like this type of magic. We've often talked also about dream analysis, internal power. With the Internet and the media being such strong forces in our lives, and especially in the lives of young people, it really doesn't afford them the opportunity to do things like this and to learn things like this, even though the information is available, certainly, on the Internet. But it does seem like they're just not getting it.
Well, and that's part of my hope with this book is it is so bite-sized. It's an easy little thing that you can just kind of fall into, and you can read it straight through, or you can take one goddess at a time, and it's just little nibbles, little introductions. I didn't intend for this to be, you know, the end-all, be-all of goddess magic. I just wanted it to be an introduction, and hopefully finding, especially young women who've maybe not found goddesses until now and need a little of that empowerment in their lives.
I think it's great. I mean, if everybody out there who has a teenage girl or boy or somebody who they think might be interested in this, it's a great gift, this book, for a lot of reasons.
It was really fun while writing it because I just turned 30, and I have a sister who's quite a bit younger than I am. And while I was writing the book, my mom and my sister were both asking to see sections of the book, and they both loved it. And my younger sister, though, especially, I feel like, you know, she found a lot of resonance in it, and that's what I want.
Well, it's needed today. I mean, when you see what kids today are getting into, this book is needed.
Very, very true.
Yeah, to turn back on a spiritual path and to also connect with these higher forces. So it's, you know, take their attention off the relationship that they think is all important or whatever else they're obsessed with these days. But I
wish I'd had this book when I was in my teens.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I'm glad I found the goddesses in my life, and I'm glad that I've come to a place of magic, but I just hope other people can get there as well, because it's been empowering and important for me. But, yeah.
It's a much-needed path, and it's a much-needed vibration, especially for young girls. So I'm just so happy you wrote this book. So everybody should get a copy and pass it on. Goddess Spells for the Busy Girl. So that's for busy girls. That's great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The other thing I found so fascinating, and I'm sure you did too, Becky, I love the fact that when you write about these goddesses, that they're not perfect. They get vengeful. They get grumpy.
Yes.
They get disapproving. You know, it's interesting. They're not perfect. I love that.
I think that's one of the things that drew me to mythology in the first place. When you look at, multiple deities, when you have so many personalities, they can't be perfect. They become so much more human almost. And it's so much easier to see and to understand, when you don't have one representing everything that is perfect and good and can't connect with. Instead, you've got Aphrodite, who's vengeful and spiteful, but, oh, man, she's good when you want to fall in love. And then you've got a goddess like Isis, who is kind of power-hungry sometimes, but that power can be very helpful if you're willing to work with her. I love that they're flawed. I think that's part of what first drew me to goddess magic in the first place, because I'm flawed, and I like seeing, that even these powerful beings aren't perfect, because we're not perfect.
I like that. I like that a lot. And the way you write about them, it's in contemporary terms. So it's not boring history. It's really well written. Now, one of the funniest stories, you're welcome, one of the funniest stories I thought was about Sekhmet. Could you tell our audience about Sekhmet?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I love Sekhmet. So Sekhmet is an Egyptian goddess, and she is powerful and fiery and forceful, and the rulers in Egypt in the ancient years loved her for protection, but they were also kind of scared of her, and that's reflected in one of her myths. She goes on a killing rampage for the gods, because they've been slighted, particularly Ra, the sun god, and she's going to avenge him. And he lets her do it for a while, and then he kind of steps back and goes, God, she's out of control. I don't know what to do with her. And nothing will stop her. She's gone on a bloodlust rampage. And so the gods get together, and they get a huge vat of beer, and they dye it red so that it looks like blood, and somehow they convince Sekhmet to drink the blood beer. And when she's drunk and sedated, she morphs into the goddess Hathor, who's the cow, the mother, prosperity, happy goddess, and she becomes controllable again. So it's this fabulous story of when power goes loose, and how even sometimes the gods don't know how to contain it, and you just need to have a beer and it'll all be better in the morning.
Oh, geez.
It's a great myth, and again, it is about here the gods are sending her on a mission to destroy humanity, and she really gets into it in a major way.
And they decide maybe that wasn't what they wanted after all. She's one of the goddesses in the book you definitely don't want to work with if you're not clear on your intention. She is not a fluffy goddess. She's definitely not somebody you go to for small problems.
So what would you go to Sekhmet for?
She is excellent as a healer, which seems in opposition to her very fierce nature, but she was revered for healing, and Sekhmet is in healing temples throughout ancient Egypt, but not, just a headache or stomach flu. You call her in for the big guns. You call her in when you are dangerously ill. She's also really just empowering as a deity, so she's great to talk to when you're ill in your heart as well as ill in your body.
Wow. So what other things besides health would you invoke Sekhmet for?
predominantly health. I would also invoke her if I were in a situation where I was energetically drained. She would be somebody I would turn to when it's, even if it's not a health issue or a lack of sleep issue, but just I'm depleted and I don't feel whole anymore. Sekhmet can help you fill the tap back up. She can help you find your fire again.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what about if you're in a situation where you have enemies? Is she helpful with making sure your enemies don't harm you, or is that the goal of another goddess?
I tend to turn to other goddesses for protection simply because Sekhmet, once unleashed, is kind of hard to put back in the bottle.
Mhm.
Oh. So it's again, you kind of want to make your choices based on what you know of the goddess and of her stories, and Sekhmet's myth shows that she's protective, but she doesn't stop. So a goddess I always turn to for protection is Isis, and again, that's because I work with her. But in her story, Isis is she's a mother, very, very much. She's also very much a devoted wife. Everything in her myth revolves around protecting these people who are valuable to her. I also would recommend working with Artemis for protection.
Mhm.
She's
from Japan, right? Is that or is that somebody else?
Oh, Japan is Amaterasu. Artemis is the Greek huntress goddess.
Okay, and Artemis is good for protection then.
She is. She in her, and again, you look at the myths and you look at the stories of how these goddesses were known, and Artemis was a goddess who chose to remain mostly celibate, probably, but she didn't ever take a partner fully, and her protection is very much extended to women and children, and particularly women in childbirth. So it's knowing what kind of protection you want before you ask for it.
And you also have spells in here to create safety in your home. So
yes.
You have home protection spells, which are wonderful. And who do you invoke for those?
Bridget is one of my favorite goddesses for blessing and protecting a home. She's
I like her.
Yes,
I really like Bridget. Yeah,
she's wonderful, especially at this time of year since she's been blooming since February.
Yes.
Now tell us about Bridget, because I know Becky, you know about Bridget, but I don't. I'm wondering who in our audience might also want to hear about this goddess. This is not a familiar name to me. Who is Bridget?
So Bridget is kind of hard to separate the goddess from the saint. She is a Celtic goddess. She also then got very tied to, or maybe is a separate being, and then they blended later on, an Irish saint. Bridget is a goddess of poetry and fire and smithcraft. She's very big on protecting. She's tied to sheep and cattle, and so she will protect those who can't protect themselves. She's also a goddess of healing. So she's just beautiful in her myths as a goddess and as a saint. She just comes across as warm and loving. She will judge harshly. One of the stories I tell in the book is of Bridget the Saint. She was approached by two lepers who wanted healing, and she told them she'd heal them if they bathed each other in the water of her well. And the first leper was healed after being bathed, and he didn't want to bathe his partner at all. He didn't want to touch him now because he was healthy. And so Bridget cured the other guy and then gave the first leper back his leprosy. So she can deal harshly if she feels that you've gone back on your bargain, but in general, she's a very maternal, warm goddess.
Well, that's nice. Yeah, and again, they all, you have to know who you're invoking. That's what I also like about your book, is it really tells you more about these goddesses and their backstory, so you really know who you're calling to the table. And
right.
That's so important. I mean, here you also have the Mother of Nine, Lady of Storms. How do you pronounce her name? Is it Oya?
Oh, Oya, yes. I don't know if I pronounced it right or not. That's how I pronounced it.
Okay. Works for me.
Yeah, Oya is a fascinating goddess. she's out of the African diaspora tradition. She's one of the Orishis. And I loved learning about Oya. She's somebody I've worked with peripherally, and she was so fun to go a little deeper with. She's definitely not somebody you want to invoke lightly because, again, she is the whirlwind. She's the tornado. So it is change. It is fast. And if it's what you ask for, she will deliver. But, she's great for working with creativity. She's one of my favorite goddesses if you feel stuck or if your energy and your ideas aren't flowing. Let the whirlwind take the blocks away and just be prepared to hang on.
Wow. Can you give us an example of somebody that you know that used this particular spell to remove blocks and what happened?
Trying to think. Well,
it sounds pretty exciting. Calling forth this kind of energy, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
It can really transform your whole life.
It can, and it's one of those situations where when I first started working with her, I'd ask her to remove a block, and the block would disappear, and other things would start disappearing because she had a very different idea of what was holding me back than I did. Uh-oh. So this is definitely not a specific goddess in terms of the spells you work with Oya. Just like with Sekhmet, the power is very, very strong, and once you get her started, she doesn't stop until she thinks you're done. And she'll take all the blocks away, even the things that maybe you didn't want to let go of yet. And that's a good thing, but it can be hard.
Wow.
That's a good lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like, okay, you better think long and hard first before you start going there,
Absolutely.
That's very good. Yeah.
So somebody starting out with this type of goddess magic may want to stick with the fluffy goddesses before moving on to Sekhmet and Oya and
yeah,
oh my goodness.
It's you definitely want to know who you're talking to before you ask for something because they listen and they'll give you what you ask for. So go slow. Start with a goddess who feels comfortable first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gosh, now, have you ever had, some paranormal experiences, either when you were doing spells or after?
Something from another realm that surprised you?
Oh. The first time when I had no idea what I was doing, this was before I'd even really started to believe in magic, so it's one of those where you half believe and don't really believe, and you get some interesting experiences, and they scare you away. The first time I tried doing a ritual by myself, which was probably a mistake. I probably should have had some support there. I went by the book. It was very scripted, very ceremonial. I called all the porters. I called the guardians. I cast the circle. And I don't know if I popped up to the astral plane or she popped down, but I had a very intense face-to-face conversation with a goddess who I, at the time, couldn't name. And in my idiocy, what I asked when I'm presented with this wonderful woman, she says, you can ask me something. I said, okay, I want to know. She just looked at me, what do you want to know? I want to know everything. And she looked at me and she said, once you know it, you can't unknow it. And I was 18, and I said, okay. So that was definitely a learning experience to come back from on the other side.
Oh, my goodness.
After that, level of eye-opening. It was one of those where the eye got opened so much that I put sunglasses on and kept them on for years because I didn't want to see it anymore.
Wow.
So did you feel like that was a big opening of your third eye, or what was that?
It was very much a big opening in my third eye. It was also an opening in my heart. I saw more on all planes, and I saw specifically more around me, and I saw more pain, and I didn't want to see it and deal with it, and I felt like I didn't have the power to deal with it. So it was a third eye opening and a heart opening, and my reaction was to try to close both down.
So it was just a little too much.
It was a little too much, too fast. Didn't really know what I was asking for. Thought it would be great, and once you ask for things, you get them. So I've learned to be very careful with what I ask for now.
And with this, who was the goddess that you were talking to when this happened?
Yeah.
Since then, I've realized that she was, I don't know who she wanted to be at that time, but I know she was a queen of heaven. That's an archetype I really connect with, regardless of which goddess we're talking about, if it's Mary, if it's Isis, if it's Inanna. And I think at the time, because of where I was on my path, I think she just kind of took a very generic overall queen of heaven form and wasn't anybody specific.
Wow, what an experience.
Yeah.
It was intense.
Goodness me.
Kind of scared me away from magic for a while.
I bet.
Oh.
I bet it did. Now, I'm sorry, you know what, Becky, we were going to ask her about a magical hangover. What is that?
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
This is actually a perfect time to ask that question.
Yes.
Oh, goody.
So, in my experience, if I'm unprepared before doing magic, and it happens in group magic more than alone, because I think alone I know my own energy and I know how I work and I know how the goddesses work with me. But when I'm in a group experience, a group ritual, and especially if it's a group I haven't worked with before that I'm not as familiar with their energy, if I go into it unprepared, I come out of it miserable. And what I mean by unprepared is, for me, I've learned, I can't open up my third eye fully in a group ritual because I will be bombarded and overwhelmed. I don't know if that's a reaction to that conversation I had all those years ago. I have to keep one foot on the ground, no matter how fun the ritual is, no matter how much magic and energy we're raising. And to do that, I eat beforehand. That's been hugely beneficial, learning that the hard way. I eat immediately afterhand. I drink water before and after. And so for me, a magical hangover really feels like a hangover. If I open up too much, if I just let my third eye go and I play and it's fun and I'm floating and I'm crazy, and then the next day I don't want to move and all I can do is eat sugar and bread and lay on the couch with a blanket on my eyes. It's awful.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. So
it really is, for me, the result of not staying grounded enough, and it's finding that balance of grounded enough but still open enough to the experience.
And eating food is grounding, so that's something you recommend before ritual, and also drinking water. So both of those things help. So this is not something you want to do on an empty stomach or fasting then.
Well, and I guess that's just me personally too, because I have gone into individual ritual space after a fast or on an empty stomach, and I'm okay. I think it's when I get lots of energies involved in the space, and some people have higher vibrations than me, and I'm wide open to it, and I just kind of start buzzing on it, and then I come down off of it, and it's not fun. So it's a balance, learning to be open enough but stay grounded, and I think that's one of my challenges in magic.
Wow. Well, this is just such a great amount of information. We have more questions coming in from the chat room, so let's take another short commercial break, and then we'll pick up some of these questions when we come back. So stay tuned, everybody. If you have a question for Jen, give us a call at 646-478-0828. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you ready for a new experience of freedom and powerful connection? Would you like a positive, effortless change in your life? Then come to CosmicFusion.com, where we offer the most advanced energy clearing and expansion techniques in the world, with a quantum vortex energy to activate your divine blueprint and life's purpose. When your soul leads the way with cosmic fusion and quantum vortex energy, you can break clear of past difficulties and blocks with the power of the source. With cosmic fusion, the source energy does the work for you. It's easy and effortless. Listen to our free meditation right from our Cosmic Fusion website, the Cosmic Code Meditation. Sign up for one of our interactive webinars today. Come to Cosmic Fusion, www.kosmicfusion.com, to experience an effortless awakening and transformation. Are you ready for an upgrade? Are you ready for a new experience of living in the fifth dimensional magic and powerful connection? Then visit CosmicFusion.com today. CosmicFusion.com.
Bonjour, this is Veronique Raskin, founder of the Organic Wine Company. As one of the pioneers of the Organic Wine movement, since 1980 I have brought you the very best and most authentic organic wines directly to your table. I work with small family estates who grow certified organic grapes and produce exceptional wines. You can purchase our wines individually from our website at theorganicwinecompany.com or join one of our wine clubs. Our organic wines are perfect for you and for your family as gifts for friends and relatives, and they are simply spectacular for the holidays. Visit us at theorganicwinecompany.com to enjoy the very best organic wines conveniently delivered to your door. I am Veronique Raskin, passionate about my mission. I offer to you vegan, organic, and biodynamic wines, wines made by people of the heart, wines with a heart. Au revoir. Call us at 1-888-ECO-WINE.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We are speaking with author and spellcaster Jen McConnell, Goddess Spells for Busy Girls, and we're learning a lot tonight, Becky, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
This is a great
really
topic.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I love the book. I mean, this is a great book for any age group, but especially I think, Jen, you have written this so well for everybody, but especially young girls. It's wonderful. So, a couple of questions from the chat room. Here's the first one. Who is the goddess to communicate with to open the third eye?
Well, we already talked a little bit about Hecate being a good goddess for doing intuition and working with the third eye. I would also say Saraswati. She is a goddess of creativity and creation, and you kind of need to open up that third eye to tap into your creative source.
So those would be the two you'd recommend. And then the second question. Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just, yes.
Oh, okay. It's hard when we can't see each other.
I know.
Anyways, the next question is about travel. Is there a goddess that you can invoke for safe travel?
Absolutely. I am a travel addict. I love to travel. And there's a whole chapter in the book about travel and protection. I've kind of combined the two. Isis is my favorite travel companion, and the spell for safe travels that I love to use is probably one of the easiest in the entire book. It basically just involves a piece of red thread and a set of scissors. So if you want to use the spell, you would take the thread, cut it so that it's long enough to wrap around your wrist at least once, more if you like. As you cut the thread, simply say, Mother Isis, I ask that you watch over me as I travel, and then fill in the blank for wherever you're traveling. Tie the thread around your wrist. Wear it for the entire duration of your trip, but on your last day, break the thread and leave it outside somewhere. So return it back to the goddess. And that is a spell I've used for years, and I love to use because it's so simple, and it's just so nice to have that physical reminder that Isis is watching over me.
So the last day of your trip, you mean before you return home or after you've returned home?
Before you return home. So you leave the spell behind in the place where you've been. The first time I did that spell was when I went to Egypt, and I left the spell behind actually at Isis's temple on the island of Philae. So that was kind of, I think, when I fell in love with that spell because it was such a wonderful way to just return it to the goddess.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Did you do other spell work when you were in Egypt?
I didn't do much while I was there. I think I was a little too overwhelmed just with the sense of travel. I brought a lot just of the experiences home with me. I think I had a lot to digest. My dreams were incredibly vivid while I was there, so it was maybe more third eye work than spell work.
How long were you there?
I was there for 10 days.
Nice. Very nice.
It was wonderful. I would love to go back someday.
Yeah, I was there many years ago. I was there for 3 weeks, and it was very magical. But things have changed in the world today. I don't know if I'll go back there again, given what's going on. But certainly, I'm with you. I would love to go back there. One thing that really struck me is the absolute enormity of the pyramids. Having seen photographs doesn't really do it justice, does it?
Oh, the enormity of everything, the temples, the pyramids, everything the ancient Egyptians did was on a grand scale. And it just, you have no idea until you're there, and then it's overwhelming.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. And, again, another question from the chat room, and I know we answered this earlier, but we're going to answer it again. They would like to know, again, how to spell Hecate. So if you give that spelling and then also to spell the names of the goddesses that would help to open the third eye.
Okay. So since Hecate is one of the good goddesses to talk to for the third eye, it's Hecate. And then the other goddess I mentioned, Sarasvati, Sarasti. And sometimes the V is written as a W, depending on where you look, but V should find her for you.
Great, thank you. And could you explain a little bit more about casting a circle? How do you do that, and why would you do that?
Well, and so my background is vaguely Wiccan and fairly pagan, and so I've brought a lot of that into my own work with goddess magic. And for me, when I'm in a group, casting a circle is a must. When I'm alone, I'm usually kind of lazy and I just do the spell. So if you want to cast a circle, you can do it or you don't have to, but it does lend a little bit of protection. It sets you apart from the world. It creates sacred space. It's great when you're first starting to do magic to cast a circle regularly to get in that feeling of building your space. I have a space in my bedroom in front of my altar where I do most of my spell work, and I've worked there for so many years that the magical residue kind of serves as a circle for me. But there's a variety of ways to cast a circle. You can go, full on traditional. You can use a wand. You can use salt. Basically, you want to do something that sets you apart. You might use smoke to do that, and there's a lot of resources to tell you different methods of casting a circle depending on your path. Do what feels right to you, and listen to your instinct and see if it's a spell that you don't need a circle for after all. But definitely when you're first starting out, it's a good idea to do something for protection, something of a ritual nature to mark the space as sacred. And there's a lot of ways to do that.
Okay. And when you're all through, what do you do? Do you break the circle, or what do you do at the end?
For me, if I've gone to the trouble of casting a circle, I will just open it. I won't break it, but I'll basically reverse cast. I'll take it up, and so I'll remove it. Yeah. I'll leave it open. Some people leave their circles cast. Some people put a door and walk through it. It really just depends on your magical practice. I tend to pick mine up when I'm done, though.
Oh, nice and neat girl you are.
I try.
Now, when people are calling forth, invoking goddess energy, and they have their specific prayer, has anyone ever had the misfortune to have something else show up that they didn't really want? Another type of entity?
Not that I have talked to. No one has said anything like that to me, and I've not had anything like that in my own experience. So I count myself very lucky.
Yeah, and it sounds that this is a type of magic that really doesn't allow for that it's very specific to this type of vibration, which is a higher vibration and one of wholeness and health.
Absolutely. And I think knowing the goddess you are trying to invoke, even if you just know a basic understanding of her myths, that helps you make sure you're talking to the right person. You don't have someone else on the line.
Right. What about this vitamin that you must take? Do not forget your magic vitamin.
That's the title of the chapter on health and wellness. That's just me being kind of silly with the chapter titles, but the health chapter is about not only physical health, but mental health, emotional health, and creativity, because I firmly believe our creative expression is a huge component of being healthy. And so the spells in that section are addressing all of those aspects of wellness, trying to help you create, a whole mind, body, spirit, creative connection.
Mm-hmm. That was pretty cute. I like
Thank you.
That. Could you tell us a little about Gaia, Mother Earth?
Gaia is a very accessible goddess. She's one of the goddesses who is, anybody knows her name, even if they don't know they're talking about a goddess. We refer to the planet as Gaia, even when we're not talking in a mythological context. So Gaia's got a lot of staying power. She was the Greek manifestation of the earth. And she is Earth Mother, but she is fierce. She is definitely that maternal edge where she will love you and you will not cross her. One of the myths tells of a time when her husband wanted her to force some of her children back in her womb, and that didn't go over so well. She bided her time, but she got him back for that, and she will go to bat if you need her to. But Gaia is literally the earth under our feet. She is everywhere. She's a very easy goddess to connect to. We're on her. We walk on her constantly. We wouldn't be here without the sustenance she provides. So Gaia is kind of a nice gateway goddess because we're so used to her. But like a lot of mothers, we kind of take her for granted. So she's a goddess you really want to offer respect to if you're going to work with her, because she's been very ignored for many years.
And what kinds of things do you work with Gaia on? Is this for manifestation or fertility, or what do you recommend for Gaia?
For growth, for sustenance. You can also turn to the earth for protection, but for bringing new things into being is definitely Gaia's territory.
Oh, yes. I believe that. Wow.
Now, we talk about protection, personal protection, safety for the home. Let's say you get into a bad situation. Somebody tries to break into your home or whatever. I mean, can you immediately, do the spell to try to, obviously you're going to call 911, but just to help things along. Is this a type of spell that you could do in a moment of crisis also?
You could. I would not ever recommend magic instead of mundane safety measures if it's that extreme.
Right.
If that were the case, my first reaction would not be to work a spell. I would lock myself into the bathroom and call 911. So I definitely do want to, there's a time and a place for magic, and you can do magic anytime you want to, but common sense and personal safety measures cannot be replaced by any spell.
Right, but once you're locked in the bathroom and you've called 911, it might be a good way to calm yourself, too, from a...
Exactly. That might be a time
anxious...
where I wouldn't... Yeah, I might not spend time then on any kind of protective spell on the house. I might spend, a self-calming, self-soothing, or just self-protection and try to calm myself down. But I would not... I would be waiting for the police to show up at that point.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'd be asking Gaia to get those vines on the side of the house wrapped around that menace that came in and hold him till the police got there.
See, Becky's very creative.
Yes, and I'd be saying that, and I know she'd do it for me, too.
Well, and intention is everything.
That's right. That's right. Wrap those vines right around those legs.
That's right. That's right. I like that. I'm going to remember that one.
Right.
Well, because it is an issue. It's for women, especially today. It's something to think about. And we've done shows in the past on Power Preppers for security. And they're very popular shows because people have seen things that have gone on that are very unsavory. And what do you do? And certainly you do want to use common sense. You want to call 911. You want to lock yourself in a room or escape the area, whatever the best safety path is. But at the same time, how do you calm your mind? How do you take a deep breath? How do you stay grounded? And calling upon a goddess for protection probably isn't a bad thing as long as you've done all these other steps first.
Oh, absolutely. And if you're in a situation where you're not in the bad situation, you're either after it, definitely after it, you need the help to come back from it, or hopefully before anything has ever happened and never will happen to you. If you have the time, there's a lot you can do just to work to bless your home, to protect your home. There's a spell in the book that I include working with Hestia. She's very much the goddess of the hearth and home. And this is, again, preemptive, not during an attack. But it's simple. You need matches, a black stone, and a white pillar candle. And the stone I like to use in this spell is hematite. And you bless the stone, and when the candle burns down enough that you've got a pool of wax, you plant the stone in the candle and let the wax reseal over it, and you can light that candle then anytime you feel like your house needs a boost. So this is something you could definitely do if you suffered some kind of attack in the aftermath to try to clean up and clear out.
And does it also give you the energy to again, set boundaries and prevent it from ever happening again?
This is definitely a spell you can reuse, and you can keep working with that energy and reestablishing those boundaries and making sure you're doing everything on a mundane and magical level you can do to keep yourself safe.
This is great. I like this.
Now,
this is good.
I know. Hey, I have a question about the goddesses. Now, have they sent or worked and sent angels involved with any of these, spells, or with the Mother Goddess work with elementals or anything like that with the spells? Or
I've not worked with any elementals or any angels. I know the divine feminine energy often goes with the angelic energy, but that's not something I've ever experienced.
Okay. And if something happens within your life, is it an energy that you can feel where you might say, oh, this is the goddess, Isis, or this is another goddess, because, something can all of a sudden happen that'll surprise you, and you'll be happy and excited about it, and you realize this was something, a goddess gave to me. Do you have or feel energies like that, or understand or know that when something happens?
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like the more I work goddess magic, the easier it is to see when there are goddesses present. Probably one of the coolest things that's happened. My husband and I were taking a walk, and it was still light out. It wasn't even twilight yet. And a huge owl, we live in the city, huge owl swooped down across the road in front of us and perched on a tree and just watched us. And my immediate gut reaction was to say, hello, Athena. And it was just it was such a cool experience. I'd never seen an owl that close and out in the daylight, and it was just silent flight, powerful bird, and it just gave me this moment of, this is one of the reasons this goddess is so powerful.
Wow. That's beautiful. And you also have listed other animals that are associated with the rest of the goddesses. So people might recognize a visit very similar to what you had. It might come in a form like, let's see, who was it? This Amaterasu I find fascinating. And that is associated with horse, sparrow, finch, and other songbirds.
Yes.
So all of this is in the book, and which I highly recommend that you get. It's a wonderful book written by Jen McConnel, available on Amazon.com. So, but tell me about this Amaterasu, this lady from the culture of Japan.
Amaterasu is a fascinating goddess. She is solar, which is interesting. She's the solar goddess of Japan in the Shinto religion, and she's got ties to the imperial family, and she's very, very important to the country as a whole. And in one of her core myths, her brother wreaks havoc in her royal weaving room, kills a handmaiden, desecrates the space, and Amaterasu flees and locks herself into a cave. And she won't come out until he apologizes for this horrible things he's done, but he won't. And the gods are pleading, and they're begging her to come back to them, and they finally lure her out of the cave by having a celebration, and she gets curious and wants to hear what's going on. And when she comes out of the cave, they've hung a mirror in front of the door to the cave, and she sees herself for the first time, and she falls in love with her beauty and her power. And while she's spellbound by herself, the gods pull her out of the cave, seal the cave, and bring the light back to the earth. And I see that as a very empowering myth. Amaterasu knows how much she's worth, and she demonstrates that multiple times in the story. She knows her value, and she knows that the other gods can't do it without her. And until her brother has made amends, she will deprive them of the greatest gift she can give, which is the sun. And then in the end, when she comes out and comes face-to-face with herself, she doesn't simper, she doesn't act coy, she just falls fully in love with herself. And I think she's a very empowering goddess to work with, especially for women in general when we deal with body image at such a large level in our lives. She's wonderful for that.
Yeah, because we're always picking on ourselves for one thing or another. So this is a good thing, a good lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. She doesn't waste time picking on herself. She knows how much she is worth, and she knows how beautiful she is, and that's where her strength comes from.
And what kinds of spells would you work with her?
Confidence. One of my favorite spell stories, I gave the mirror spell in the book. It's a confidence spell. You use the mirror, you talk to the mirror, and you embody Amaterasu. I gave that spell to a young woman who was auditioning for a music program, and she had horrible nerves and anxiety, and she'd throw up before every audition. And she took a pocket mirror into the bathroom and did the spell and came out and felt better. And beyond that, she nailed the audition. But I was just thrilled that she felt better. She felt strong and confident and like she could do it. And this was the first time she hadn't had a near panic attack when she was getting ready to perform. So that was wonderful to see that.
That's a huge
power.
Yeah. And she only had to do the spell once?
I don't know how long she was in there. She was in the bathroom for a few minutes, but it was just a matter of repeating over and over to yourself in the mirror, I am the goddess, I embody Amaterasu, I am strong, I am powerful. And she came out 5 minutes later and she was changed.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That is amazing. I love these kinds of stories of personal transformation through these relationships with the goddess. And again, what's so cool about your book is there's not a lot of formality here. You can do this in a bathroom before you go to the audition. I mean, that's just perfect. So, again, you don't have to create this special, secret, sacred place. The sacred place is within you, wherever you are.
And that's life. I mean, I love doing special, very, intense rituals, but life doesn't always allow for that, and that doesn't mean I want to live without magic. So I've tried to offer spells that let you bring magic into every moment.
And also, like, even casting a circle, you can actually do that in your mind's eye, right? You don't have to do it. So that's another way to cast a circle when you feel you need to make a separation or a boundary of protection. You see it in your mind's eye, and it's just as good and just as powerful sometimes as drawing out salt on the ground.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I just can't.
Amazing. I'm telling you, I love the simplicity of it, really and truly, because it's taking really, to me, what it's doing is taking your own inner spirit and energy, and you have very simple tools to use and reaching out to the other realm, the other side. And simplicity is just beautiful. I mean, I think that's the answer to almost everything in the whole world, simplicity, really.
Yeah.
Because it's so pure and so easy and simple, and it's something that just flows right along with the person's, very being. I really, really enjoyed your book so much.
Thank
you. Wonderful.
Yes, Goddess Spells for Busy Girls. It's a great book. And, let me ask you this too, Jen, when we're talking about Amaterasu, because this is connected very much to the Japanese culture. That's a very formal culture. Is there anything else? I mean, is there a formal way you're supposed to approach her, or bringing a specific object with you because, again, of the formality of that culture?
In my experience with her, you can be very formal if you choose to, but she's generally willing to talk even if you don't know what to say. Again, I think it all goes back to intention. If you've got the intention to make this connection and you really want to use this energy and you really value this goddess's support, she'll show up even if you haven't said all the right things or used the right ceremony. With Amaterasu, though, she is very connected to the mirror. It's one of her sacred objects. So if I'm working with her, I do always have a mirror on hand. And white and gold are two colors that are very powerful to her. So if I'm using a candle for Amaterasu, say, it will be white. And I try to pay attention to those things with any goddess I'm working with. But, with some of the goddesses who are a little more formal, you want to make sure everything is lined up and a little less seat of your pants.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense, yes. I mean, with Amaterasu, I pick up an energy that's very interesting. It is, as you mentioned, it could be formal or informal, but she's the kind of goddess that feels like she would pat the seat next to her and say, sit down, and then she would convey her message to you in a very sociable manner. And it's just got a wonderful energy to her.
Oh, that's great. I'm so glad you've had that experience with her.
Yeah, and all thanks to you because you've put this wonderful book together, which, again, encapsulates all the important elements that people need when they want to do this type of magic so that they can form their own relationships with the goddesses and ask for the help that they need in their personal lives and personal growth and goals that they want to reach. So are there any other pieces of advice that you want to give to our audience when they're working this kind of magic?
Trust yourself. You want to go into it with knowledge. You want to go into it with intention. Maybe a spell that I've written can help, but trust your gut. Trust your heart. You know what you need from the magic. And don't be afraid to play. I think that's something that held me back for a long time in spellcasting. I had to be very serious and rigid, and everything had to be perfect. No, it doesn't. Life isn't perfect, and so many of the goddesses are very responsive to play. Lakshmi and Bast in particular really enjoy happy, playful energy, and they'll respond to that. So trust where your instincts are taking you and let it be fun, because magic should be fun.
Yes, I like the cat goddess Bast.
Me too.
The cat goddess. Yes,
tell us a little bit
her.
about Bast, because Bast can also be quite formidable. So give us her background.
So Bast is an Egyptian goddess. She's portrayed as a domestic cat, although at some point early in her history she was maybe portrayed as a lioness, but then with Sekhmet on the scene, I think she may have just kind of downsized. I'm not sure. But Bast is a goddess of revelry, partying, letting loose. She's a cat at play. And so Bast is great if you just need to infuse a little bit of fun into your life. She's a great goddess to invoke before you host a party to make sure everybody will have the best time possible. She's a good goddess if you want to go out on the town, because most of her celebrations and her worship in ancient Egypt were very party driven. They revolved around alcohol and dancing and music and just having a good old time. So Bast is very, very playful, but as you said, she can be very formidable. If you just think about a house cat, they're great until they try to kill you. They can be very fierce. I have my own fierce little monster, and I love her to death, but she embodies that feline strength. Cats and Bast in particular have never forgotten that they were once lions. They can do damage if needed. And so Bast is good for protection, too. She's very fierce. She's a good goddess to talk to. That's another reason I like her if you want to go out on the town, because she's great to have a fun night, but she's also great to have a safe night.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's a good one then.
Yes.
It serves both purposes.
Yeah, exactly.
As a protector. Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why I'm on this protection thing tonight, but I am. So I think
we could all use a little more protection.
Yeah. I mean, not to, invoke fear and scare everybody half to death, but it does seem like it's an important aspect when we do this type of magic, that we should always ask for protection for our home, ourselves, our family, our pets, our loved ones, things like that. But it just seems to be more and more important every day. And now, so your favorite goddess is Isis, and you've worked with Isis for many years. Is there anything new that you've learned about Isis in your work with her?
Oh, that's a fun question. Isis is, and all the goddesses are so complex because we're looking at so many centuries of myth and cultural change, and their stories merge and shift, and we lose pieces. So when I first started working with Isis, I knew her pretty much strictly in her role as Queen of Heaven, and just as the partner to Osiris, the Lord of the Dead, this reigning, powerful matriarch. And in the time I've worked with her, I've learned that she has. I've learned more of her maternal side, and I see that, and she is first and foremost always, Ma Isis when I want to talk to her. But one of the surprising things for me with Isis, I think, was having the veil pulled off in terms of her perfection. We talked earlier about how these goddesses are flawed. And because she was my favorite, I didn't want to acknowledge any of her flaws, but she's flawed. It took a while to learn that. And it's not a bad flaw. It's a wonderful flaw because it's very self-reflective. Her flaw is also a strength. Her flaw is how much she values power. And that makes her a very strong goddess to work with. But it's a flaw in terms of the myth of where she got some of her magic. She may have just allowed to happen. We're not sure how involved she was in it, but she sat back while the sun god was poisoned and by a snake. And then she basically got him to death's door so that he would tell her his secret name, which would unlock all the mysteries of the magic of the universe for her. And so she can be a little ruthless when she's seeking power. Now, once she had that power, she didn't misuse it. She used it, for the good of her people, for the good of her husband, for the good of her child. So it's that fine double-edged sword of power and ambition, and depending on how you look at it, can be a flaw. And it's always good to remember that for me when I'm working with Isis, that I don't always need to talk to her because I know that her motivating factors are going to be, power, ambition, magic, and family. And if I want to deal with something a little less cosmic, she's not who I go to.
Now, one of the things that I noticed when we first started doing the show over a year ago, we would put out a newsletter every week, and in the newsletter we would have an angel of the week. Mm-hmm. And as I would be writing this every week, what would come is information about the angel, that the way the angel was portrayed, however many hundreds or thousands of years ago, it's not a stagnant energy. So these angel energies change, just as we do. They grow, just as we do.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's why I was wondering, is the same true with the goddesses? I mean, we know what they have been identified with in the past, but do they grow and change the same way that I have experienced the angelic realm too?
My experiences with the different goddesses grow and change, but I don't know if that's me or them changing.
Interesting.
But I definitely have a different experience with any goddess I've worked with now than I did when I first started working with her. So, yeah, I don't know if that's the goddesses are changing or if I'm just learning more about them and I'm changing. It could be a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it could be both. I mean, again, because nothing stays the same. And so it makes sense to me. I mean, when I started getting this information about these angels and they were saying to me, well, that's not how I am now. It was like, that's how it was then, but this is how I am now. I now move through these realms also, or whatever. So I was thinking the same might apply here. And you bring up an interesting point. You're constantly changing. So how do you determine what's their change, what's your change? I guess you're right. It's both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is even more powerful. Now, when you I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that I think that was one of my lessons of magic, was learning to see those changes in myself or in the goddesses or in that relationship. And that was a lesson with Isis, because when I first started working with her, I wanted to always work with that version of Isis. And since then I've learned that there are other sides to her, and sometimes I want to talk to a different aspect, and that's okay. So that's been an interesting learning process for me, is the full facet and the change and seeing how that incorporates in my own practice.
Yeah. And Isis is very comfortable with her power.
Yes. So, absolutely.
Which is something I think women need to learn, is how to be comfortable with their own power. Do you sense that Isis as a goddess energy would like to see more of that with women in the world?
Oh, I'm sure that's something that would be just phenomenal on every level. I don't think Isis would be the only goddess who'd like to see that. So many of these goddesses are comfortable with their own power. In fact, I'd argue they all are pretty comfortable with their own power, and that's something we could learn from them.
Well, I think it's wonderful because I was just reading an article I passed along, and I know, Becky, you've read the same article about the mother wound, and how we don't necessarily want to go beyond our mothers. And there's a whole big psychological explanation to that. However, when you begin working with the goddess energy, it's almost like, here's your permission slip. You can now go beyond because you are connected to the goddess energy. In the goddess energy, we are grateful for our power. We like our power. We are comfortable with our power, whatever that power is. So it kind of ushers in a whole new experience, that we can let go of our family issues and these deep psychological wounds and move forward into opening the third eye, or having the ability to communicate telepathically and grace, absolute grace.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There's a lot more to this than meets the eye.
It's deeper. Yes. is
much
deep.
deeper.
Who would you say the eldest or the oldest goddess would be?
Oh my goodness, I have no idea. I
have no idea.
Guess I would take the easy way out and say we probably don't have a name for her.
Well, that I was just wondering because they have the names of the goddesses where their names have changed as they've walked through the centuries and eons, but they're the same goddess. So like Ishtar or Anana, or that go into Egypt also with Isis and Sekhmet, and the different names that have gone through the ages. I was just wondering if there was one going all the way back, if you might know the name.
No, I don't. I'm gonna guess none of us know who she was first.
Mhm.
It would be interesting to invoke her, though. I mean, even without a name, it would kind of be the nameless one, I guess, that you could invoke
absolutely.
And see what happens.
Would that be the goddess of wisdom? So what is it? Sophia? Is that it? The first goddess of wisdom.
Sophia is the goddess. She's one of the goddesses of wisdom. I don't know. Invoking the nameless one. When you said that, I just got shivers. It'd be interesting to see what kind of conversation you could have with her.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should try
the first goddess. That's amazing. I've always wondered.
It. Yeah, and then we can
it's like
on that.
Yeah, it's like Mother Eve. Okay, there has to be Mother Goddess. There's Father God. There has to be Mother Goddess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I know the names have carried down through daughters or daughters, goddesses and goddesses and goddesses. But who was our first mother?
Well, and maybe that's the point that you just made. She's mother. That's all we need to know.
Yes.
It'll be a
that's
fun
how
thing
we
to invoke.
Her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I have another question from the chat room. This lady would like to know, do you talk to Ganesh?
I love Ganesh.
Tell us about Ganesh.
So I do work predominantly with goddesses and goddess energy, and Ganesh is actually one of the few male deities who breaks that mold for me. Ganesh he's wonderful. He's just so joyful. So Ganesh comes out of the Vedic tradition, the Hindu tradition. He is the child of two very important yoga deities, but it's really more important who and what he is. So he's got an elephant's head. For very long story short, he needed a replacement head. And he's the god of joy, and he is a god of removing obstacles. And I love the imagery. So he's an elephant-headed god, and his mount, his animal that he rides, is a mouse. And we all know the myth of elephants are scared of mice. And in Ganesh, I see that as a very tangible representation. He rides fear. And he's a wonderful, wonderful deity to work with if you need to get through fear and break down barriers and obstacles. And he's so joyful. So, yes, I do know Ganesh. I love Ganesh.
And so Ganesh is known as a male entity. I'm surprised to hear that. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of androgynous, but I have always known him as male, and I've seen in
now,
stories
is he
he's identified as male.
the blue-headed elephant? Is he the color blue?
I've seen him as a gray. I don't know if he's blue. He might be, but he's the human body with the elephant head in the Vedic
human
tradition.
body. Okay, that is very interesting. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's
Ganesh is a great god to work with if you want male energy when you're working with Lakshmi. So Ganesh and Lakshmi work well together in terms of removing barriers and bringing abundance.
And that was the next question in the chat room, was about Lakshmi. So tell us about Lakshmi.
Lakshmi is interesting. She's Vedic. She's out of the Hindu traditions as well. I love her origin story. It always reminds me of Aphrodite. The gods were fighting demons, and they were trying to get what they needed out of the primordial sea, so they were turning it to turn up things, and all kinds of weapons pop up, and Lakshmi pops up. And she's a goddess of abundance. She is a goddess of joy and laughter. It's said that if you aren't genuine in your requests, she can tell, and she won't give you what you're asking for. So she doesn't deal well with greed, but she does bestow abundance in all its forms, tangible and intangible, on people who work with her. So she's a really, really beautiful, fun goddess to work with.
Nice. Oh, my goodness. Well, this has just been wonderful, Jen. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all this wonderful wisdom. And what a great bridge you have built with this book, Goddess Spells for Busy Girls. It's just wonderful. It's for all ages, and it isn't, as Becky, you mentioned, it's not just for girls, but it is a terrific title, very eye-catching, too.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
No, this has been so wonderful. And I do think we should all invoke the Nameless One, see what happens. I mean, I think it could be a very fascinating experience on the road of Goddess ritual. Yeah. Very much so, very much so. But thank you so much, and I hope you'll keep this in mind for your next book, because I'm sure you have a big, long career ahead of you as a writer. This is just a delight to read, and again, we highly recommend this book, Goddess Spells for Busy Girls, by Jen McConnel, and Jen also has a website, which is jenmcconnell.com, and that is spelled JenMcConnell.com, where you can connect with her and keep in touch with her for her next books, and also Goddess Spells for Busy Girls on Amazon.com. Don't miss this one. It's a real gem, and we had a lot of fun with it. And it's also inspiring, spiritually connecting, and this is great. Just great work, Jen, really.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking with you both tonight.
Well, thank you. Keep in touch, please. Keep us posted on your next adventure.
Oh, absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you. And Becky, you have a message for someone tonight.
Yes, I do. Tonight, the message is for Shelley. We hear, we see. Your answer, Shelley. Childhood friend. Feather pillow. Arizona. Yushulea tishi niatoko haha. At lirasu on dia shuyate. Nayatuku siadararise. Ni tutukuma alara ashushuyata. E shianti alarotushi. I titi kimia tarasa. A ushuriti. Alariasi ianza Shelley. We are with you. And there you go, Shelley. This one really caught me by surprise. It sounds like Shelley's been asking about someone, and it looks to me like her message was finding someone and knowing who the person is, letting her know that they know who that person is. So this will be interesting. Let me know, Shelley. Write to Supernatural Girls and let me know what happens. Thanks.
Yes. And everybody, please sign up for our newsletter at supernaturalgirls.com, and you will be alerted to the next show and all of our exciting giveaways and fun stuff that we're going to be doing for everybody who listens to the show. Now, next week, we're talking about witchcraft, so we're going to stay on this magic theme, Becky, but we're bringing in Raven. Raven right here from Massachusetts. This is going to be another great show, and this is about old, ancient witchcraft.
Old world witchcraft. And I mean, right from the beginning, I've started reading his book, and it's just fascinating. And even the word witch and what they call people witch, it's nothing like what they've tried to call people when they say witch. It is totally something else, straight from loving the earth and caring for the plants and the people, loving and healing. So different from, the magic and everything, and it's so different from what they've been betrayed as. I was absolutely amazed so far with this book. I can't wait to get back into it tomorrow.
Oh, great. Well, I'm certainly going to be reading it right along with you, and we will be interviewing Raven next week, Saturday night, 9 to 11, same bat time, same bat station. So everybody tune in. If you can't listen to the show at 9, then you can always listen to our archives, and you can find those on our website, supernaturalgirls.com. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend and a beautiful week. Good night, Becky.
Good night, Patricia. Good night, all.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural